appreciate you coming here. It's good to have you
Appreciate
here
you.
as always.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me back.
I just want to start off by giving you a slight introduction. B.Well is an activist, recording artist, and founder of the nonprofit organization, the B.Well Foundation.
Yes, sir.
B.Well is a Des Moines native, and his success in rapping has led him to participate in life-changing revolutionary moments in the Des Moines area, along with the establishment of his own nonprofit organization. Earlier in June, B.Well and Jazz Stock Entertainment Crew have expended themselves in motive of making Des Moines a better place. Following the George Floyd shooting protests, B.Well spoke at the More Justice, More Peace rally in West Des Moines. Subsequently, he pioneered numerous Black Lives Matter rallies. They held rallies in Valley Junction, near Valley High School, and two others in West Des Moines, and the rest remained downtown in Des Moines. Wooley's live music venue actually regarded you to be a living legend in the Des Moines hip hop community.
That's real.
So, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the intro.
All right, so the first thing I want to ask you is, what would you consider to be the most important lesson that you learned from the rallies, and why?
That there's power in your community. That and being true to yourself and what you stand by and stand for. But that's probably what I learned the most this summer was there's a lot of talented, driven, hardworking people that are good at a lot of things that I'm not necessarily the best at. And the more you recognize resources around you and you come together to collectively build, it just opened my eyes to the world being like ours if we choose for it to be, you know.
Also, what would be significant things that other minorities can take away from the movement who may have not been there?
To speak your piece, you know, like don't shy away from how you feel. You know, channel it and use it right. Don't make emotional decisions that may hinder you moving forward, or your family or your group. But definitely know what you ride for and then ride for it, period.
All right, so moving forward a little bit, we know that you graduated from Simpson College in Indianola, where the population didn't actually have a lot of minorities.
Yeah, for sure. It was us, yeah.
So, I guess with that being said, how did it feel for you to go to school there, and what were some of the difficulties that you faced with that?
So I was born in Des Moines, and then I moved to Las Vegas and came back. So I was already kind of used to being like the, not even like only black kid, but I grew up like in Beaverdale, you know, that's a suburb off of Des Moines, and there weren't a lot of minorities in general, but specifically blacks that I went to school with, and I guess just my friend group growing up, neighbors and all that. But going to Las Vegas kind of changed all that, and it was just like it's a melting pot of everybody. So then kind of getting thrown back into Indianola was it was a little odd, but it wasn't, I don't know, we took it as like a chance to show people, you know, like what else is out there, because a lot of these cats that came from small towns and not even for like, not to blame them, but they hadn't been around black people ever. So it was like all they saw was what media showed them, or television, media, you know, audio from music videos, things like that. So they just got a chance to not only take in what they could provide, but they also gained from us as well.
So, I guess to be a little exact, your friends were really diverse. You didn't just hang around with just black people.
Yeah, for sure. So I came back to Simpson with two of my homies, one who was black and one who was white, Jake Barr and Kevin Hughes. And so we kind of had like our unit, but then like, you know, playing football, that was probably like, not probably, that and the basketball team was like where all the minorities were or came from. They wasn't coming for like music or opera or anything like that at Simpson. So, you know, collectively you just started like, it's easier for you to be comfortable around people that you know, but you know, you're forced to be around more people when you're on a part of a sports team. So, yeah, it was diverse, but I think my friend group always has been. My house now is, you know, I live with blacks, Hispanics, whites, and so still diverse as possible.
All right. So, do you think your experience at Simpson could have been approved or just made better? And if so, what would you have desired to be different there?
That's a good question. I probably could have done a lot better at Simpson. Just, I don't know. They provided everything that I think they were supposed to, being a college campus. You know, obviously, you know what you're getting if you choose to go to Indianola, Iowa. Or maybe I guess I didn't at 18, but now, where I'm at now, I understand. You know, I could have gone to college in the middle of Chicago and been in like a diverse art scene, if that's what I chose to do. So, but I think they could have, just cultural inclusion, you know, I think everybody can work on that and realizing that a lot of people come together to make this place great, not just one superiority in any realm. Better music. Yeah, like the music that we had to warm up to for football games was atrocious. So, yeah, I definitely would have done something about that. The food, you know, for cultural diversity purposes could have could have been a lot better. But you know, again, and they beat you over the head with them prices, so that could have always been better. Student loan debt ain't nothing fun. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, you know, you always wish there was a few more people that look like you. But again, I was in Indianola, so.
All right, so like I said before, Wooley's live music venue regarding the hip-hop opening.
I want to know who said that.
So,
Who's the person that you called? Can I know? No, it's all right. I understand.
So, I guess with your rap career, you actually had a big show a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, we helped UVT. You know, I won't take no credit for them. Them boys worked their ass off to say they sold over 350 tickets, you know, which is a sellout in regards to COVID guidelines. They would have hit 700 if we would have let them. But yeah, it's cool to like essentially broker out shows now. You know, it's cool to have successful shows yourself and build up and make sure, like, that's like my safe house. I feel very comfortable there. I love performing there. And I know the staff really well. It's like where I bartend. But it's a humbling experience to be able to offer that door to other people that you see are working hard. You know, a lot of people ask, they're like, "Hey man, can you get me in?" I'm like, "Yeah, no," but definitely taking care of people that you see are like putting in the work and doing it the right way, as opposed to trying to take shortcuts and do things half-ass. But yeah, that place changed my life, and so yeah, I hold it very near and dear. So.
All right. So, regarding your rap career, what would you consider to be your greatest piece relating to the African American community and racial justice, and why?
Like a piece of music that I've made?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Probably something that I haven't put out yet. So my first album was called The Heights, my second one was called The Hills, and then my third one for that trilogy will be called The Ninth, which is essentially like a depiction of blacks in U.S. history. And so there's some very like politically, culturally driven verses and narratives in that haven't been released yet. 90s Baby, you know, I got like the Rodney King riot at the end of that. Free Love, probably off The Hills. No Favors off of West. Oh My. I like to like, you know, rap is extremely braggadocious, right? You gotta, you wish you could, you want to brag like Hov. Yeah, exactly. You know, so there's like, but I still try to drop like little conscious nuggets every now and then, especially like for like a cultural like perspective. But I would say probably those three songs as of right now, but there's more to come. So.
Okay, so with that, what do you believe are central issues that keep African American or minority men from experiencing racial equality?
So we all know that like the lack of resources is obviously a big thing, but then also when you get to the playing fields to be able to then have access to them, there's still a wide discrepancy in ownership, in banking, in healthcare, and all these things. So I think that that's way past like business, but I think, you know, we live in a capitalistic society, and the only way that you really can make moves and shake in that is by owning things. Number one being land. And so I think that's something that holds black men and also black women back 100% is, I don't know, that's what I see as being like the biggest thing. I think there's numerous issues, but that would be the biggest one for me. It's black ownership. We need a lot more of it. I think blacks coming together collectively, you know, I know a lot of other cultures bring their money all to the table. I think we're fighting against poor, I don't want to say poor training, but like tactical training that was used against us to make us pit against each other. You know, you check a brother before you check a white man when he comes into the room. You see what he's wearing, you see how he moves, you see, and that's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, specifically as a black man, I noticed that in myself. Like, why the fuck would I do that? But I don't look at the person that's oppressed our people for the last 400 years like that. I nod to them, I hold the door for them, so why would it be any different in regards to a brother or sister of mine? So I think that just we have some healing to do as people, and that comes with us like accepting that we can be wrong in situations too, and we can be a lot better in situations, but we have to collectively come together to recognize that and, you know, create our own. This whole entire structure was not created to involve us at all. We just built it. You know what I mean? 244 years of free labor builds you something pretty nice. So it's time for us to go build ours.
So, with that, do you think that we can solve the issue of racial justice? And if so, how do you think we go about that, coming from us being a minority, and then what we would do for the other races as well to be able to understand and unify?
I think, again, comes back to ownership, collective, like, working together. Again, to point back to like one of your first questions is like recognizing the community that we have already built up within just like brothers and people and sisters that we've grown up with. And recognizing that we always have to do more. We're always expected to do more when we walk into a room. They expect more of us. We're already fighting prejudice. We're already doing these things. So it's like we shine. So make sure like you continue to do that. But yeah, I think we have to, again, build our own. There has to be our own banks. There has to be our own black-owned businesses and keep our dollar within our community. You know, we spend it on frivolous things, myself included. I like nice things. You know, I think that we come from kings and queens, so it's innate in our culture to just want nice shit, right? But there's a difference between spending every last dollar you have to do it to impress somebody and then having enough to buy it twice, like Jay would say, and then like it's something that you reward yourself with, as opposed to being like, I need this to feel like myself.
So do you think that educating all races on cultural fusion and different cultural perspectives will help with that, or help to accomplish, you know, us building our own revenue?
Yeah, kind of. It's a double-edged sword. You know, it's tough to teach an old dog new tricks. A lot of these cultures have been around for a long time. You know, humans have existed for a while. And so that's not to downplay the importance of educating people, but we need to educate ourselves. We need to take care of those in which we can, because it's like instead of trying to teach old tricks, like we should be focusing on the youth and making sure that like they know growing up. And I think that our generation, just in general, anybody that's, you know, 20 and over at this point has been around to see like that internet phase and like just like this